Hello everyone, today a very interesting video awaits you. I would like to ask you to support this video by liking and subscribing to the channel. Enjoy watching everyone. Our history begins in the lands of the Hongwu dynasty, in the ancient city of Yuanjing. The young boy Yu Tian is training in the forest, and his blows are so strong that they cause dents in the wood. The main character learned the skill so that his mother could kidnap her Koan Liu Nin and inform her fathers that they could tell her about her. Our hero promises that he will forever protect her from danger and kisses the stick. The girl also appears to be a bit like a brother, but she seems to want to celebrate the fun by continuing the kiss. Yunak agrees with these decisions. Liu Nin is heading home through the hot weather, and the boys have been training hard for another hour. Yu Tian, turning home, finds his father in a gloomy mood, and the new young man discovers that in his name, the young gentleman of the Yue family has appeared. The boy is in a hurry to help the young master Wu Tin, and the father is lost because he cannot help his son in any way. Having rushed into Yue's territory, Yu Tian calls out to the first son to fight. Easily moving around, the young gentleman disrespectfully calls Yu Tian weak and accuses him of immediately damaging his legs. When Yu Tian turns back home, there is a flash in the field. A boy who has gained strength through the elimination of injuries is deprived of dying under the plank. Father promises himself that if his son dies in battle, then he must especially deprive his family. Through fever, the boy realizes that he has died, and let his mother's sword glow with bright gold. The sword, with incredible power, was able to renew his wasted Dunton energy. After waking up, the boy realizes that, although he was still asleep, he senses that his father is being watched over by all sorts of villains, who call him an insufferable alcoholic. Zlokinsi extort from the father Yu Tian Yogo force, calling it a lack of breath, obtsukai, so that for this reason they won't work again. When our hero suddenly comes to his father, he is inspired to give his Dunton. Everyone thought that the boy couldn't overcome anyone, respectfully, that Fan's homeland couldn't be overcome by force, but Yu Tian had other plans. A real battle begins between the main character and one of the villains, whose prisoners are watching over the boy. Yu Tian rightfully uses his energy and, as a result of the strike, breaks the wrists of one of his hands. All those present knew that they were sick, but no one had such an appreciation for our hero. Yunak is ahead of the evildoer Wu, so that this time his brother eased the evil of life by inflicting fatal blows, and at the same time he had a chance to become ill. The sick people were able to immediately come to the order and, angry for their lives, began to get away. Father Yu Tian is written by his son and with new strength, although the boy respects it differently. Now the youngsters need to practice more to relinquish their energy and conquer the Koana. Tim immediately gave new names to Liu Nin, giving her his sign, which he did not want to accept. The girl's mother still urges her to accept the sign of the Wu family, go to the place of Yunjin, and become stronger to avenge the death of Yu Tian. Liu Nin still accepts her mother's proposal and gets ready to leave in the evening. Yu Tian meditates and trains her new strength, and she senses all sorts of wondrous sounds. A group of unknown people in uniform were trying to catch up with the poor little girl. It turns out that these were people from the family of Yue, another son of the Khan and his servant. For the whole hour, Yu Tian quietly sat on the tree and watched. The noble woman slashed sharply at the young gentleman and threw him to the ground. The boy wants to take revenge for the way his family treated him. He easily kills the Khan's son. Yu Tian has seen more servants who have lost their jobs and is fighting against them. Although he wanted this first killing, the boy didn't feel bad. He was glad that he was able to steal his little bitch and take revenge. Yunak took the pennies from the young gentleman with respect, so that the dead man no longer needed the stench and had to go away. After some serious training and meditation, the boy will decide to rise to the third level of the earthly kingdom. Thanks to the charming faces like Utayan, having stolen from the Khan's son, he was able to renew his wasted energy. Just as the boy was busy with his rites, the little girl stole his belt. That very little girl, as people from Khan's family recently reinvestigated, stole the belt from the main character. Khan would like to find out at some cost who dared to so viciously cripple his son and servants. They tell you that a young gentleman went into the forest for a white little girl, so it's necessary to joke about the person in which kind of girl she is. Tim and our Utayan retracing the creature, knowingly sensing Vityavavka in the distance. It turns out that the wonderful white little baby had already written in the air. Having written on the ground, she told the lad about the trouble. The miraculous hands that the youth had drunk to restore their strength were extracted from rare ginseng, which aided spiritual practices. Yomu had the chance to vipatai ski abia matis mogs delati sayaki vavk. So our hero rose to the 4th level of the earthly kingdom. Mavpachka became his companion and took him from snow. Having sent the creature for ginseng, Utayan decided to deal with the Veletensky wolf. The monster had such a thin skin that he probably couldn't sense any strong blows. Once again, our hero was smart and intelligent, easily outwitting the wolf and able to deal a fatal blow to him. Mavpachka just that hour brought rare ginseng, which smelled miraculously. After eating ginseng, Utayan became even worse, but the magical yin-yang technique was able to gather energy. The snow contains only half of the rare ginseng and begins to gradually evolve. For an hour in the mountains on the territory of the motherland of Fong, he is overwhelmed by the intense family tournament of the least powerful people. 2 representatives of the family deal blows and light blows to one another, not to death, but to honor and for the sake of excitement. At the finals, the main prize was awarded to 2 high-ranking techniques. You will pass between Fen Ryu and Feng Hu. At first he fought on equal terms, and then Fen Ryu, knowing his strength, asked his brother to fight again. In this manner, after a dozen hours the lad was overcoming an unsettling battle. For an hour, the leaders of the homeland were squabbling over who was the best contender among the fighters for the role of leader of the homeland. Utayan unexpectedly shows up and asks to go into battle with brother Ryu. All those present were happy and even respected that he had lost his dantan. A few days ago, Fen Ryu began to sharpen his skills early in the course of training. His father proposed to take part in the family tournament, and as soon as he took the first place, he took away the seals of his homeland Fong and became its leader. As it turned out, my father's main goal was to achieve victory in the success of Fong Yuko. The boy has the 6th century of the kingdom, but the father has a hidden ace up his sleeve. A special tablet instantly increased its strength by 3 times. Utayan sounded like he was feeding her, without delay, and singing at her new powers, she called out Fen Ryu to a duel. Everyone respects that our hero has no chance of victory, but both rivals are in hiding. Fen Ryu intends to be killed or cripple Utayan for his over-the-top boasting, but the boy is not trained for everyone, easily taking the blow. The opponents put together different battle techniques and magic tricks one against the other, but apparently our hero became much stronger. The boy had to deal 3 blows, but it would be a little boring under such an hour of battle. Ryu was seriously injured. It was important for the onlookers to believe that he was losing and he didn't want anything, so he immediately took a pill, allowing his father to go into berserk mode. Now Fen Ryu has risen to the 6th level of the earthly kingdom, which his father wrote and deserved to be the most powerful human family of Fong. Utayan, striking with his bright fist, beating the Tan-Tan, did not act uncatchably on his opponent. Ryu, having become a great pond, could never escape from the wind. Our hero may not be able to escape because of his dissatisfaction. The opponent was even stronger, his eyes were burning with crazy fire, inflicting heavy blows on the main character that he was unable to defeat. The remaining blow landed on Utayan's right hand and the audience screamed in joy. The ale was just crusty, and easily stood up ready to chew. Utayan was mastered by a new technique, the essence of which itself lay in a broken fist. Now our hero was the leader of the battle, striking his opponent with strong blows. All those present were in shock during this battle. Fen Ryu was first injured in this duel. Zodan's Supernakiv did not want to lose the money, and this also meant for his homeland. Fen Ryu unrefinedly stagnated the fighting spirit technique of calling out the demon horse. Fen Ryu, striking with the help of the burning fists technique, will instantly be fatal for the main character. Brother Tu Fen wants to rub shoulders to stop him. You have got the father of the main character, and since Ryu plays without losing his native seal, our hero singly hatches a secret plan to overcome him, especially without skidding in the face of his opponent's important blows. All those present smothered them, and when it was finished, the boy dealt low blows to his opponent. The end of the day was completed, and Utayan, having taken away the Omrian, will be able to overcome. After defeating Fen Ryu, Utayan forcibly smashed his magical Duntun energy. It was too cruel, wanting Brother Ryu to try to kill our hero, without even calling anyone. Ryu's father is determined to take revenge for his defeat, and prepares to strike with his slash fist technique. Utayan has not yet realized the strength or the ability to escape from the man's forceful blow. Rap Tom, by getting that same golden sword from his mother from sight, he helped the boy to revive Duntun and beat the blow. Uncle still could not forget his anger, despite the fact that the main character was killed today. Having inflicted multiple blows on Utayan, the ice began to wilt. Znenetskaya, our hero's father, appeared, and with his own strength he defeated the blow and snatched his son from death. Feng Yu Ko punished his son's son to sit down and meditate in order to renew his magical energy. Father, Tu Fen, and tell the little girl to protect Utayan, obliging to kill anyone who dares to touch anything. Fan Quanhu still didn't understand the game, knowing that our hero's father had been exiled and was often unable to defend his powers. Feng Yu Ko may not have had a chance to see the one whose body needs a lot of zuzzle or neutralization to be removed. Father Utayan still calls out to his brother to fight. If he wins, he will become the head of his family, otherwise he will lose at once with his son again. Fan Quanhu is preparing to deliver a naughty blow to the fall of the Divine Valley. Everyone will slow them down, so as to be able to escape Feng Yu Ko. He expends his remaining strength to quickly defeat the attack using the sonic rinse technique. Fan Quanhu was overcome, he was forced out of his family, and for Yu Ko he ceased to be a brother. Fan Quanhu takes his tedious son away from the battlefield. Viewers cannot believe that the findings of Feng Yu Ko have caused the sleepy strike. Now you are ready to return to the clan, and Utayan will become the new member of the Feng clan. After a few days, Cao Tian will come to the family library to get books about martial mysteries and learn new techniques. Fighting mysteries are divided into 3 levels, and our hero wants to develop his skills to the highest level. After years of searching among all the books, you can't find anything suitable for yourself, but then your gaze turns to 3 books that lie next to each other. Find the middle of them with the knowledgeable scroll from the technique of the demon sword that is in strength on par with the falls of the Divine Valley and the broken bright strike. Vaughn was very light from the witch. Cao Tian wanted to witch her, and then show her uncle's eye. The technique of the demon sword was without a lot of marking, so Cao Tian decided not to take it, because he thought that he was of a low level, but the librarian still pleased to take the book. Respectfully, what was their lot? There was nothing special in this battle mystery, but having created the most powerful swordsman, master of the sword, our hero respects it not so much. Librarian Xia explains that the sword can be vibrated without missing it, or it can be vibrated with the help of Duntun energy. But the only part of this technique is that it is fluid until you draw the sword and it becomes pourable, so if you train well, you can quickly turn it into your advantage. This mystery was given to the Feng clan from the most powerful swordsman in the world, yet the Uncle Xia managed to defeat the main character and managed to take the book. There was also an additional technique called the Dragon Sword. Having mastered it thoroughly, one could become as powerful as a dragon. Tim Han discovers that Cao Tian knows his white daughter, and now the master is gathering everything to protect his homeland of Feng. The head of the Han homeland, if he wants to kill Feng Yuko, but if he has revived his energy to earn it will be impossible, he will need to check if he loses it on his own. Now there is no longer a chance to pay attention to the moment. Having killed Cao Tian, they can kill his homeland. Cao Tian trained for 3 days, perfecting his sword technique so completely that he could pierce a tree 5 inches with one blow of his club. The boy didn't have time to finish, he had to work hard to reach the mark, and Snow started training. Our hero thought twice about giving in to cutting down a tree with a slimy sword. His experiment was interrupted by Khan's guards, who were just about to hear the young man. Cao Tian immediately reacted and easily defeated the attacker's attack with his new sword. The main character was sharpened from both sides by Khan's swordsmen, who were 1 against 10. The boy repels the attacks of the attackers, but in the meantime we can't understand. The guard's intelligence officers learned that he had killed another son of the Han homeland. Cao Tian easily defeats the attacks of Khan's guards with his new sword technique. They are planning to kill the young man and his homeland. Our hero easily defeats the enemy, breaks their swords and breaks their brushes one by one. The attackers all at once rushed at the boy, preparing to repulse the attack. Snow was also ready for battle. At the end of the battle, uncles came. The battle saw that Cao Tian was able to defeat all of Khan's guards. The uncles would have come to either lie to our hero, or to assume that help is no longer needed, to let people go to someone who is not a servant and is not guilty of anything. Tu Fen reveals that Feng Yuko didn't really win until the end, and also for the sake of the Han family. Tu Fen tells our hero that all the people in the place respect that Feng Yuko is victorious. The head of the Han family himself did not bother with the bee, but sent his people, because he himself is afraid. Uncle seems to preach that all hope is lost in Cao Tian, but that one thing is not enough, and he himself encourages him to go to the Yuan Academy in order to become stronger. At the academy there is a magic ticket that the boy's father and Snow knows this ticket. The chance of joining the academy is slim. Cao Tian agrees with the uncle's proposition and hastens to the latest development of the Yuan school. And so that no one from the Khan's guard knows where the lad is going, the uncle fills everyone's ears with vague traces. Those attackers who have lost the chance to avenge their brothers in arms ask the Han commander to allow the killing of our hero. The commander decided to allow the army to attack the boy at an unexpected moment. Cao Tian would be tempted to intercept Snow in the forest from Khan's guards. Another one already had a serious wound on his back after the battle. The Han homeland wanted to kill our hero in 7 days, so he needed to train more. Mavpachka wrote that you need to try ginseng to raise your energy levels. Cao Tian was just about to leave, but a large group of guards, watching the lads, instructed him to pass. Our hero emerges from his ambush and strikes hard at the investigators using his new sword technique. Snow also helps to counter the attack. The boy had to quickly realize that there were too many attackers and he alone could not save them all. Cao Tian's road was blocked by the head of the guards, who wanted to take revenge on the lads for the death of Khan's son. Khan Hui is about to deal a strong blow to Cao Tian, but then quickly reacts to the attack and stagnates with the bright fists technique. During the attack, our hero lost his head on the edge of a cliff, which was so high that the ground was never visible. There was nowhere to go, either to shave or to surrender to the armies. The boy wanted to turn snowy, and he himself could break through in any manner. There was no other option, yet Cao Tian dared to try to spin and cut off the break flowing from Kan Hui and his army. Kan Hui, that guard will already be able to celebrate the holy day. Even though the skeleton was so high, having cut off from it, there was no chance of living in the future. We gave orders to find Cao Tian's corpse under the skeleton in order to show proof of Canova's death. In the early morning, the boy and his little girl, Mesa, were able to go down the path from the vine to the enchantingly beautiful waterfall without any effort. On the way, my daughter brought him to the unparalleled beauty of a girl who could understand and flock to the creature. This was the elder sister of our hero, but there was water here, 16 rocks, and a little sickness. Cao Tian's sisters seemed to be the wrong person, as she realized that for her rudeness she threatened to kill him. In his heart the boy thought that Sin Swan, but the old woman had no idea how to care for such a young, ugly girl. Still, the food that our hero had obtained from this place was squealing. Cao Tian told his sister that he would come to learn the techniques of the sword and then TSS and become his teacher. I also believe that having previously practiced this technique, I know a number of techniques. Sin Swan immediately took out the enchanting sword and asked the boy to demonstrate his skills in practice. Our hero immediately froze the technique of the Prikavani dragon protrusion. The girl was shocked that she knew the welcome of Su's homeland. Cao Tian said, without knowing it, that it was simply a similar technique. Sin Swan explained that it's all about getting started in Su's homeland, and then moving on to the right methods. Proceed through those that our hero has already practiced himself and can move on to the next level of learning. The next step for the boy was to learn the croc method, and the technique of falling snow without shade. It is not enough to develop your attacks with quick and inexperienced ones, but it is also important to increase your strength. The main secret to the success of this technique is 9 steps, which constantly needed to be shared among themselves. Cao Tian was able to turn his sister around, having thoroughly mastered this mysticism in just 10 years, and was truly a genius. Sin Swan guessed the words of her father, so that even the heavenly son could be talented for her. Tim suddenly began to act wonderfully and began to meditate or renew his energy. The girl was happy that she was able to find the legendary heavenly son and promised herself that only her body would be born after leading Cao Tian to her father. Cao Tian decided to break through from the 4th to the 6th level of the earthly kingdom. Raptom Sin Swan may also be aware of the fact that her spiritual power, which she accumulated in 2 years, was exhausted. With all her remaining strength, the girl orders our hero to take the sword and get out of this place. Finally, the sister gave one for 9 swords for the 9 swords combat technique, without knowing how to use it, so the boy had to learn everything on his own. The sword in Cao Tian's hands has changed dramatically in size, becoming smaller than a head, so now it can fit in the gut. A small sword flew up and stuck in the boy's ear, a small, unidentifiable earring. Our hero, sensing the voice of Sin Swan in his thoughts, asked him to wipe his hands from her illness. In case the spiritual strength of the child would be restored, the girl would give a friend the shape of a sword. Now the stinks could be carried out through the sword earring. The boy asked that with the snow we could do everything we could to help her. Cao Tian and his little girl come out of the oven and notice the passing guard Khan, and immediately begins to call his brothers for help. Cao Tian protects the Khan and begins to attack him so that he does not get caught up in the calls of his brothers in arms. The guard is about to escape from the attack and our hero receives an order from a tree. The blow is so strong that only the stumps are lost. Snow was about to bury and strip him in his guise, and at that moment the boy was inspired to come closer and attack. Cao Tian took the sword from the dead guard and began to joke about his brothers in arms, who were hanging out in the forest. "Now we want to lose all our family, Khan." The young man brutally drove 20 soldiers into the fold, losing only their commander. Ale Khan Hai, not afraid of the sword of our hero, he wants to take revenge for all the Zorstock, having earned a lad for the clan. Khan Hai, it was necessary to steadily evade the attacks of our hero, constantly talking about wanting revenge. The head of the guards wanted to wait for an hour. Against Cao Tian, it was still exactly on his empty balachka. The boy stagnated the attacks from the new 6th level of the earthly kingdom, easily defeating the weak blow of Khan Hai. Whenever he was about to hit the young man, our hero used the technique of the Wrath of 9 Swords, piercing the body of the guards' heads right through. Yogo's wounded body falls to the ground, and Cao Tian, without a cold sting, leaves Yogo, walking on his right. Cao Tian and Snow were already searching for Tsin Swan, and the stench was sweeping the route to the bottom, through the Yuanwu Mountains. During this entire period, the stench of the greedy has never been filled with flowers of perfumes or flowers of thousands of aromas. Raptom, in the middle of the galley, a lake of incredible beauty filled with crystal water, which beat out the sleepy meadows. The boy immediately ran to the warm water or went for a swim, and sent his little girl to search near the place and village. A group of men rides up to the water on horseback, leaving behind the shocked lad. Their leader declares that this pool belongs to you and Cao Tian is guilty of illegally leaving him. Of course, the lake was not there, but the district was located in his homeland and the little sister wanted to settle down here, which is why our hero is guilty of singing. Xian Bin is not stealthy, but he still swings his bat and ties the hands of our hero. Their super river is interrupted by the voice of an unknown, ugly girl who has been sitting on a horse for a little while. The girl was already pleased with Snow and wanted to take him for herself and treat him like a pet. Vaughn proposes to exchange a magic bud for 1 magic tablet, which raises cultivation by 1 level. The leader of the group also decides that this is a great idea, otherwise, if they change their mind, they will kill the boy. The sister already decided that Snow was due to her and tried to take him to her, but Cao Tian decided to sell his friend. The girl already rushes to grab her little girl, but our hero suddenly grabs her by the hand and throws her to the ground repeatedly, without selling anything. The leader of the group cuts the sword from his horse in order to stop his sister. The boy was already preparing to strike, but Cao Tian with a sharp rush throws the girl right on his sword. The attackers were completely separated, they were determined to take revenge on our hero for such an image. Snow also expects to help others and rushes to denounce one or the other crook. The disillusioned girl snorts a crossbow and shoots a fiery arrow right at the head of the screaming monster. The Snow begins to react and jumps in front of the girl's line of fire. Vin slashes her behind her back and grabs the crossbow. Sayabin comes running to grab her sister, asking her to give up and throw down the sword, otherwise she will die. The boy tries to choose the shortest option, because if he throws away the sword, he will become much weaker, and he will also need to marry Cao Tian. The leader of the group has nothing left to do except work. He capitulates by giving a sword to our hero, who promises to take his sister and go home. The lad takes another crossbow into his hand and makes sure not to break his words, otherwise no one will lie to them. The girl sits on a horse, hoping for any help, and portrays her brother, calling him Smitty. Sayabin promises our hero to know the next time and take revenge much stronger. Cao Tian, having tried to learn how to shoot with a crossbow, Snezhka can easily cut a hole through a tree. Having taken the sword, the boy released cold energy. With its help the young man was able to enhance his fierce sword technique twice. Far behind our hero is a group of bandits. Previously, they wanted Cao Tian to come to them, but now the boys sing that there is nothing special about him. The head of the bandits appreciates that the little girl herself was able to steal the lads and they need more. His lieutenant scoffs disrespectfully, seeming to say that his commander also doesn't mean anything special. The conversation between the two robbers is interrupted by their ugly partner, who has appeared between them. The girl loves Kate with a bright soul, and she needs her mother so that she can get into those places where people can't go. The bandits need to take action and perform at once to help the sister get the ticket. Since the snowball actually has great value and helps you easily steal other people's speeches, then our hero will be happy to be taken to the gang. Cao Tian was practicing handling an ice sword on the Galia, only to be interrupted by the robbers themselves. One of the bandits encourages the boys to join their gang, who tells about a sick friend, for the sake of rejoicing whose stench they look for Kvitka of the dark soul. Our hero also wants to quickly use spiritual medicine in order to help his sister recover from the problem, and he is also good at treating only those who are robbers sharing a discovery. These people were not quite at peace with Cao Tian, so they decided to manipulate and look like they were coming, and then secretly follow them. The boy doesn't understand why the bandits are pushing so hard, so that he becomes one of them, even if they are stronger. The head of the bandits seems to be that they really only need a little bitch because it might be even more cinnamon. Our hero in his own way seems that it would be easier to steal it. The head of the bandits does not want to expose his own people to insecurity, so he allows our hero to make his own choice and lose his place in the gang. When Cao Tian is ready to leave, she begins to get to know her new friends. All the robbers were students of the Yuan School of Martial Mysteries. This school is divided into external and internal. A boy with a father also appears to be a student of the Yuan School, and also has royal status, but is afraid of the little girl. The hero has not yet been able to join the academy, but he already knows his enemies who are of such a high level. A group of robbers arrived at the same time from Cao Tian to the furnace, where I don't think there's a lot of the dark soul. The smells divided into groups of 2 people, so it was possible to trace the stove sooner. The innocent robbers reached a marvelous stone hall with a door in the middle, on the door of which was written the word death. It seems that only one of the 4 doors can help you reach the Cathedral of the Black Soul without interruption, but no one knows about it. You will have to take advantage of your luck and rely on your luck to achieve your goals. Pigubei is not fit to risk his life, although he himself said earlier that he is ready to do anything for his sister. Cao Tun decided to turn our hero into a victim and ordered him not to sit with clasped hands, but to turn one of the doors and go for reconnaissance. The captain of the bandits said that he himself chooses the doors, and Cao Tian is also an equal member of their group and is placed as a comrade to the newest extent. In the end, when after 10 hours the head reaches the door, the main character notices that he is at the door of death. Cao Tun, you can't believe it, a super girl gets involved between the boys, we respect our skin. Our hero tells the boy that he knew from the very beginning which doors were correct, but did not want to tell. The robber calls Cao Tian to fight, but their dispute is immediately interrupted by the gang leader. The boy discovers that one of the doors has a different texture from the others, and that it itself is correct. His new friends rejoice, and praise the young man. They decide, after long searches, they will achieve their goals. A group of robbers opens the necessary doors and opens a long corridor, at the end of which there are still the same doors. K. Din gives Cao Tian a cinnamon river, a pearl of thunder shield, which can protect Li Vu Xin from 3 attacks. The doors that had passed opened up the spaciousness of the hall behind the Kvitka of the Black Soul that grew in the middle. The Stinks rushed into battle against the monsters who were burying the rare growth from the unfavorable guests. The head of the gang will once again divide everyone into groups, and I will be able to fight more quickly against the boys' mutants. Sniska had a major role among the ears, in order to get more money. There were so many Patsyuks, their eyes were still fierce and the stench was still under the infusion of magic. But our heroes did not give in to the stench and easily chopped the bodies of the creatures into pieces. Patsyuk Ice, not having bitten K Din's leg, but Cao Tian suddenly caught up with her, having pierced the monster through. Lei Ao encourages friends who have already had a little sleep. Our hero understands that Cao Tun is in full force. The head of the bandits directs the boy forward to clear the path for the group. Cao Tian followed right behind him. The boys quickly made their way to the goal, the lead hero telling Snow to run and collect the tickets. The snow quickly reached the point of growth. Without it things would have been much worse for our heroes. As soon as the little girl wanted to reach one of the chutes, it hit her hard on the paw. Luckily she suffered some skin damage. The majestic king of the Patsyuks appears on the mountain, having buried his treasures. The monster attacked Pigu Bay and when he managed to escape, he seriously injured his hand. His friends quickly rushed to help, but the king was even stronger and overcame his brother Piguda. Having recovered from a few minor internal wounds, the robbers had to look up as the stench stank of Cao Tun at the top of the mountain. Cao Tun is deceiving everyone. The bandits think that he specially brought everyone here. It's good that there's still snow among them, which could easily climb into the blue ones. As soon as the main threat had not yet passed, the king of the Patsyuks, still respecting the goal, needed to strike at his spilled places. Before Cao Tian comes a brilliant idea. He brings out a monster, saying that he wants to steal his life. And in truth, the boy began to change in size and, at the same time, ran up the mountain to bury his belongings. Now that it was calmer, I went to the right behind Snow, knowing that I needed to work. An hour later, the robbers flowed out of the dungeon at once, and the stench began to swirl around the doors, as Cao Tun was courageously fighting the king of the Patsyuks. These friends, remembering his health, did not help, but decided to leave him to die on his own. Our most named heroes may decide that they decided to divide the property into 6, and give the remainder to Sister Dune. A very joyful moment is interrupted by Cao Tun, which appears in the Galyavan. Cao Tun calls our heroes in the fact that the stench has infused his room, although he wants to inoculate his ears to the required oven. During the super event, the boy threatens K Din to destroy her family, as if the girl would like him again. The head of the bandits is encouraged to share the money so that they are only fit for battle. Cao Tun's dissolution with such a proposition attacks its leader. People have the right to use magic techniques, counteracting attacks one from another. The attacker uses the bloody claw technique, striking Lei Ao directly in the stomach, being so strong that the boy was thrown several meters back. The robber became more and more divine, wanting to take all the loot for himself, and also to allow his sister to steal away from the city. Cao Tun easily deals with his friends, although they were all graduates of the Yuan Academy. For them they must have strong opponents. Our hero attacks with new sword techniques, but his rival has not yet been able to demonstrate true mastery. Cao Tian decides to strike, and just as Cao Tun believes in his victory, the boy launches a strong attack on the enemy. But his cunning failed again. The robber repels the attack, throwing the young man to the ground. All the bandits try to pretend to be stupid, but they don't care enough. Cao Tun presses our hero to the ground, and raises his sword for the last blow. At the last moment, Snow appears with a crossbow, firing a lot of fiery arrows at Cao Tun. It would have been difficult for the bandit to withstand such a barrage of attacks, and he had to report heavily so as not to get injured. Cao Tian has already come to his senses and enters the battle with renewed vigor, finally slashing the attackers right in the throat with his club. Our hero uses his strongest technology to deliver a fatal blow to the enemy. the head of the robbers will decide to come to you, and say Cao Tian and the police for the order. Lei Ao encourages our hero to enter the Yuan School of Martial Mysteries, and will help him enlist the support of Sister Dong. Surely our hero will get better. Just take the boy to school to learn how to pass the entrance exam correctly. Pigubei, having given the boy his old travel bag, will be ready to go to the academy, and there he will be given a very new one. Our heroes carried a sword on the way to the temple. It was decided not to tell anyone about the true cause of Cao Tun's death, because the king of Patsyuk had injured him and the body of the Shurs. After just 6 days, the stench could reach the great Academy of Martial Mysteries. Since the Yuan Academy exams were conducted in a non-primary form, Cao Tian will need a special card with a recommendation for this exam. Commander Bundy takes K Din, Piguda and Pigubei together with our hero, and he jokes with Sister Dune. After 3 days, he turns around with the recommendation card. Now the boy can sleep easier. Whenever a youngster walks through the school grounds, Sayabin watches him from afar, but he doesn't feel like he's got his crook here at all. The academy worker gives Cao Tian the keys to his new room, walking into the middle without finding any kind of wonderful old man there. Our hero gets acquainted with his new companion, and she harbors jealousy for the earthly kingdom about him. The man should do his best to deal with the creatures. So if the old one recognizes the evidence, then it's amazing that Cao Tian would have entered the academy with such a low level. Tan Chaoko reports that at the recent competition, out of 100 applicants, only 3 succeeded, all the others were killed or seriously injured. The rooms will then also take part in the cleaning, they may be added to the electrical hall, and all others will be distributed throughout the other parts and other halls. Our hero goes to the bathroom, where he pours water from a special container, puts a flower pot and an earring, and hears his sister's voice. Sin Swan reveals to the boy that these many leaves are not enough for complete renewal, she needs 10,000 of these leaves. But the sister still conveys her help in the distant jokes of our hero. Their Rosamuva is interrupted by Tan Chaoko, who doesn't understand why there are slightly wonderful sounds from the bath. Cao Tian is tempted to quickly turn back to the room and learn about the rules of the place from his new friend. The man begins to chatter a lot about how our hero constantly senses angry comments from Sin Swan in his thoughts. To which the boy carefully wandered Tan Chaoko, tired of the important road and just wanted a little sleep. The old man leaves the room, and Cao Tian is about to take the level-raising pills that the girl gave him before an important exam. Now we have risen to the 7th level of the earthly kingdom. No, the boy feels the voice of his sister in his thoughts, as if he were in the air with such a dream. Sin Swan appreciates that the boy has nothing to do with working at the academy, but rather learn from someone he knows. Our hero sings the girl's song, which is not good for anyone's turbulence, even though he has practiced strong techniques. The sister still gets along with him and promises to teach him 2 more new techniques this evening. Sin Swan shows a magical combination of 3 new moves called 3 Demons Transformation. The girl struck with all her strength, but still was a powerful enemy. During the evening, Cao Tian was able to train a new mind very well. The next day, a lot of people were already waiting in the exam hall, all of them seemed to be strong opponents. Most of the people here were of the 8th and 9th level, 70 of the boys were the lowest. Among the participants will be Cao Tian, having learned from the long-known Yoma Tsayabin. The examiners, 4 of the academy's top students, took the test before the participants. Tan Chaoko still couldn't comprehend the fact that our hero was going to such a folding battle. Cao Tian was no longer able to treat him politely, although the man really fought him. The exam consisted of 2 parts. Firstly, it was necessary to go through troubles, and then kill a fierce beast. In the first round, from more than 100 people, only 70 survived. The men had to run quickly to avoid being hit by a broken arrow. Fortunately, Cao Tian stopped using the technique of the pink snow, which allowed him to reach the end of the corridor without crossing the line. Tan Chaoko also saw, having generously encouraged our hero and pleased him with the task, that his zeal for the earthly kingdom is greatest. A few minutes before the next round, 2 strong students of the academy come and bet on whoever wins the match. Through a few hills, conniving dogs are released into the arena, and the men immediately rush with their swords to beat the monsters. Cyan Dun Xin and Cyan Si Chen were the strongest of all. The stench quickly cut off the heads of the covers. Tan Chaoko also did not get up. At one moment the boy rushed to his feet and respectfully repelled the attack of 3 monsters. When he is on the verge of death, our hero attacks the frosty wind. The man did not realize that someone low in rank could defeat such a powerful technique. The dissolution of Tan Chaoko throws the boy who had earlier grabbed his leg right into the gap of the conniving dogs. Cao Tian can easily deal with monsters and lean forward. Cyan Dun Xin and Cyan Si Chen were the strongest in the arena, followed by the right boys, and they were the main opponents of our hero today. Having come up with a plan to better catch up with his rivals, the technique of the Russian snow could not be used against anyone who could immediately be attacked. Soon, fog appears in the arena to help the young man. The lighting becomes foul, and he is forced to use the wrong approach. You can quickly run along the corridor with the ease of the deceivingly ruined Supernix. The strongest fighters Cyan Dun Xin and Cyan Si Chen, as well as the judges who were in the fight against such a breach of our hero, no one could believe in his greatness. Cao Tian, I'll advance on the hall, just like there was a whole lot of bloody monsters. All the judges, through a magic mirror, followed his movements from their rooms. Until now they could not believe that the boy was able to outrun the finest warriors. Xia Bin is on the back of Wu Fan Si, through which the girl is unattractive, and even to her colleagues, who wants to make our hero, even his most baked enemy. Xia Bin bribes Wu Xin and Go Shuan's son. Vn give the boys the Borg, so they can help take down Cao Tian. The boys have done well, and the man gives us pills to supplement them, which instantly increase the level of spiritual energy. In truth, the Borg forgives no one without going to anyone, simply sending the boys to their deaths. On the new level, our hero tries to marry the leftist mutants. This battle was given to me more complexly than before. Xia Bin, in the wake of anger, orders to release all the monsters that are in them. Cao Tian understands that everything ceases to be like a simple exam, although you really want to beat it. But you're not going to give up just like that. More and more monsters approached our hero, removing the wounds and giving them a worthy death. When, after a dozen hours, the boy found the door, it appeared to be closed. Wu Xin and Go Shuan's son should come up behind him, until the stench is allowed to Cao Tian and not let out anywhere. The men draw their swords and are ready to strike the first blow, and our hero is not at all fit to give up so easily. We understand that Xia Bin herself is trying to force herself to go through the hospital calmly. People use the technique of the hammering sword, in which our hero can easily master the technique of the pink snow. The stench underestimated the enemy, not wanting to be easily defeated. If they were baked, Cao Tian was no longer able to steadily evade the pressure of attacks. The boy decided to try out the technique, which he had just learned about the transformation of the 3 demons. With this help, one can easily defeat the blow of Wu Xin and wound a person to death. Unable to turn around as Go Shuan's son is already attacking from behind, our hero immediately reacts and stagnates with the move of the haunted dragon. He was able to defeat the enemy's attack and punch a deadly hole through his body. The boy cannot understand why the 2 highest-ranking students of the academy lost so easily to a newcomer with a low level. Having realized that he was being watched, Cao Tian turned around to greet the shocked Cyan Dun-tsin and Cyan Si-chen. Cyan Dun-tsin and Cyan Si-chen could not believe that our hero had killed all these great monsters by self-propulsion, and also defeated the examiners. Tan Chaoko approaches them and also marvels at the sick man. The doors to the room open, and Sayabin comes out of them. It is called Cao Tian at the killing of the two closest students of the academy. The guy is not at all afraid to call, it seems that they wanted to set him up. Our hero runs to the point of avenging the injustice that has been done to him. Sayabin punishes Cyan Dun-tsin and Cyan Si-chen for the attackers' mistakes and they will immediately be sent to the academy. The boys had a good time. How many fighters wanted to attack Cao Tian, to defend Tan Chaoko? Now the stinks stood shoulder to shoulder, and they were ready to fight not just as new acquaintances, but as brothers. Over the years, more and more students came up and passed the first stage of testing. Sayabin recruited lies about killing examiners. He guaranteed the boys a place in the ranking for killing the youngster. It seemed that Cao Tian and Tan Chaoko had no chance of getting out alive, but they did not lose heart. Our hero promised to take his new friend to a restaurant after his victory. So if the lads have been driven away from all sides, fortunately Wu Fan-si suddenly appears and punishes him to be careful. Wu Fan-si orders everyone present to step 3 meters away from her, otherwise no one will be stung. Sayabin is truly convinced that he is not fixing any svavel, but rather trying to catch the evildoers. The girl obviously doesn't believe it, she guesses that she herself, having hit her, in confirmation of her words, she calls out before the palace is guarded. Wu Fan-si loudly calls on the guards to quietly harass the Yuan Academy prison. The boy is still anxious to ensure that he has done it correctly. It was also decided to bring the bodies of those who had suffered to the Palace of the Holy Sword, and it turned out that Cyan Dun-tsin was still alive. Following the order, Wu Fan-si carefully tries to bring Cyan Dun-tsin to the point of feeling. Cao Tian in his thoughts hears his sister's voice, revealing that they are using a special technique for awakening the soul. Tsin Swan proposes to teach our hero this secret technique, which he is happy to accept. Cyan Dun-tsin decide to come before you and tell everyone that it is true Sayabin of his departure. The boy knows that they were ordered to kill Cao Tian, and they also removed the stinks as soon as they could move the forces, but the stinks weakened the fighters. All those present cannot believe how weak Cao Tian would have been able to defeat the monsters whose strength is on the 9th level. Sayabin was still trying to capture all the accusations against Wu Fan-si. The girl ordered the guards to take him away. At the end of the day, Cyan Dun-tsin and Cyan Si-chen were subjected to light punishment, and all attackers were blocked from entering the door of the Holy Sword. The boys were otherwise unsuitable for such punishments, so the girl decided to stop walking on the territory of the Yuan school. The exam was finally completed. Obviously our hero was in the first place, in another place, Tan Chaoko, and in the third place, Chu Tian-ki. The stinks will be heard at the Palace of the Sword, and all others will be registered in court. Walking through the territory of the academy, the boys see marvelous birds that look like griffins. The birds were already in awe, as they could transport very important cargo for many days. Wu Fan-si take 2 creatures, on whose stench they are going to fly at once to the Palace of the Holy Palace. Chu Tian-ki tells new friends that he comes from one of the most powerful families. The boys get to know each other and are confident that their friendship will be valuable for many years to come. According to the dosage of Cao Tian, he guesses his Kan Liu Nin and believes that if only he can achieve high status, he can take the girl and take revenge on the Kan family. After about an hour, our heroes reached the Palace of the Holy Sword. There were 16 days left before the upcoming lads' exam, so in that hour they couldn't figure out a way to raise the level of their mastery. Having arrived on the territory of the academy, other students met them and everyone looked at the newcomers. People were convinced that Cao Tian was a very strong fighter, and he had a scar from the monster's gaps. Wu Fanxi showed the boys before they settled and said that she was willing to take care of them in the coming month after the successful test. As only the stinks wanted to disperse through the rooms, the people called out to some old man. Qi Shen gets to know the newcomers, he promises to see new clothes and show everyone in the room. Walking through the corridor, our heroes cross paths with 3 other students. One of them catches the old one and says that they smell like Supernix now. Cao Tian already wanted to intercede for him, but Tan Chaoko started a conflict in his control. The flint lad still couldn't get his head around, but our hero still didn't dare to attack anyone. Cao Tian hits the enemy with the blow of the 3rd claw of the demon and hits him directly, causing the boy to be thrown a few meters and lose his nerve. Although everyone here would be friends, we are faced with the stench of rivals who are fighting for the right to become the best student of the academy. Our heroes walk far to the room. Qi Shen is ridden by a young man who was able to achieve such mastery in his life. They saw the most beautiful bedrooms, as well as people of the same age, that the tri-day moon will break tomorrow, and they hope for a good result. By the time there was already a crowd of people in my little room, everyone was looting treasures, which was easier than being victorious. Cao Tian, having decided to return his hand from Ling Yao's house, he wants to find a box of 1,000 colors. Also, there are no thoughts of being with my sister, who sent Snowy on a reconnaissance mission. 1. The boy hears the voice of his sister, who is tsking towards my Kvitka, who is Vicarous to wipe it off. Our hero knows that his father is truly destroyed. 2. The main character talks about 5 found deficient types of weeds that will be difficult to obtain. You could try to neutralize them with 5 different types of antibiotics. 3. Cao Tian took the treasure to capture the meteorite of the soul. And his friends at once found a betrothed in Ling Shanyao. 4. Tan Chaoko and Chu Tian keep preach to find new friends and allies. Our hero believes that this is a great idea. If the allies get into trouble, it will surely attract everyone. 5. The boys' friends already wanted to joke with their ally, but they didn't realize that Kan Rujan had called them. Kan Rujan mocks the main character and does not understand how he could live after being hit by the flash. Friends of the boys are also happy with such information. Cao Tian shouted Kan Rulan, and one of his brothers said that not everyone has given up the right to fight with Kan Rulan. The first time the main character will have to fight with his brother, at the same time the boys will have to get on their knees and get beaten. Yunak still accepts the cry. The boys did not want to fight to the death. One can say that the stinks were simply fighting each other. The battle began with Li Wu's victory in the Bliskovich fist, but the main hero was easily defeated and won, having pulled out his hand. Cao Tian once again called Kan Rulan to the duel, upon which he called to enter the arena of life and death. The readers were given the rules of the arena, which stated that no one could leave the arena simply by giving up, and it would be a fight not for life, but for death. Kan Rulan, having started the battle, but having postponed the battle for several days, our hero learned from his mind, and still believed that in this hour he could become the strongest. The legend among all the students of Tsian Min Dao, having promoted Cao Tian to become allies, and the boy, having been inspired by his proposition, was welcomed by the people in attendance. Tsian Min Dao gives 40 days to the main character to think carefully before making a residual decision. The friends of our hero are inspired by his decisions and wish that he would accept the proposition, but Cao Tian could change the thoughts of his friends and raise their spirits to the fact that he would love freedom and would never become an ally. Cyan Min Dao came to his boss and recognized him that the main character believed in his proposal to be an ally. The secret man ordered him to stick his craw behind the plan. Participants in the task are told about the Medicine Mountain, which is a fenced-off zone, and the skin of the river is subject to 2 months for the quiet removal of the task on it. The main hero himself and his friends went there. Having reached the medicinal mountain, the friends decided to finish their business. Cao Tian caught dead rabbits in the snow until it got dark, and knew a lot of medicinal herbs. The boy decided to find a place to spend the night, found a place to retire, meditated and rested for a while. After a dozen hours he felt the loud cry of Xiao Bei. Shvidko came to Xiao Bei for help. The main hero, having gathered a lot of people, was trying to catch Mavba. Cao Tian turned snow and began to fight with Cyan Dun Xin and Cyan Si Chen, who also appeared to have stumbled into the gang, and easily overcame them. The boy made sure that the people shook themselves in front of Xiao Bei and conveyed all their speeches. During this hour, a group of people threatened the main character, and behind his back he heard the voice of one of his friends, who had come to help him in his duel. The main hero and his friends began to fight the attackers, and after about an hour they were able to easily overcome them. After they talked to the rest of the people who lost their money from Svidomasti, Tan Chaoko wanted to humiliate the people and was afraid to give them his clothes. After the mustaches flowed into the forest, they lost the unattractive Cyan Dun Xin and Cyan Si Chen, Chu Tian Qi, allowing that the Stinks could be the leaders of the gang. That's why our heroes told them about every episode of communication. Cao Tian and friends decided to hang the leaders of the group on a tree for 12 years, undressed them and went to find a place to spend the night. Once you know the place to get things done, the boys will go on walks to improve their level with friends and then get some exercise. In what forest was the little princess secretly talking to an unknown lad? Vaughn ordered not to kill our hero, but rather to bring him to the river of evil souls. After which the girl begins to grow up in the dark. Our heroes sat meditating while a secret lad guarded them from behind a tree. Cao Tian, immediately noticing that they should follow them, the boys entered into battle. Tan Chaoko and Chu Tian Qi were overcome. The boy was now deprived of himself at home. This being a strong opponent, he easily defeated the attack of the ice sword with one wave of his hand. While the main hero of the show was crossing into the forest from the attacker, having inevitably fallen into the river of evil souls, he was caught in the green nooses. Under the water, the unforgiving Cao Tian felt the voice of his sister, as she blessed him not to sleep and to keep her mind stable. The boy, after washing Tsin Swan, still threw himself and fell into an insignificant place with purple-colored crystals. While our hero was trying to come to his senses, he was attacked by many skeletons, and the Stinks easily disintegrated with one blow. Cao Tian should have been fighting an army of skeletons for someone who, during the hour of battle, practiced skills like learning. After the fight, a great skeleton with a great number of endings attacked the boy and said that the main hero of yours is the world. Now the monster wants to take his body for himself to become stronger. The main hero began to fight with the great skeleton, but his blows did not cause any harm to the monster. The skeleton caught Cao Tian and tied his whole body, and the boy used the golden sword technique, which fell on the skeleton from the sky and overcame him. After the victory, even a lot of blue energy was lost, which escaped from the evil souls that could have captured and painted the sword. When the golden sword was painted, the main hero fell under the water and it was revealed that it was a dream. Having woken up, he suddenly felt the voice of his sister, as if she was blessing him not to sleep. The boy began to pour on the surface so as not to suffocate. Having got out, the young man guessed about his friends and his mother and rushed to joke about them, knowing that the boys were under a rock, but without a clue. The main character realizes that his friends are just sleeping and also that the boy who attacked them and began to think about a plan for revenge came to the river. While the young man was thinking about this, a furious rabbit jumped out in front of him, flattening Cao Tian's eyes, realizing that he seemed to be caught up in the fire and became stealthy. The boy began to talk to his sister, and in the course of the conversation it became clear that the evil souls had disappeared, which had spoiled his spiritual values. Xin Swan realized that our hero had figured out the method of burying the soul. She told the main character not to tell anyone about his new property. The sister of the main character told about the palace of the crooked coat and that his funeral will be carried out as soon as they find out about the boy's new life. Yunak, having slept at the Golden Sword and from the palace of the crooked Svatanka, did not believe anything, and Cao Tian understood that he would not give any information. Tan Chaoko and Chu Tian Qi woke up and wanted to sing for help, but they noted that the main character was already with them, but the Mevpina had already fallen asleep before the day. Cao Tian and friends went to their work, and Snow took the wines from them and still don't understand why the wines are not thrown away. An unknown woman and a number of people came to the river of evil souls, so that all night there were changes there, but after the water had been drained, she didn't find anyone there. The evil spirit realized the secret of the main character and punished the assistants not to say a word about it. Cao Tian having captured the remaining rabbit, and at that hour Mevpina jumped in and immediately helped to know the spiritual mountain. About an hour later the boy got in touch with Tan Chaoko and Chu Tian Qi and finished their chores and went back to the place. On the way to the place, the leading hero noticed his koana and quickly ran after her. His friends, without realizing it, hurried after him. The boy thought that this girl belonged to his koan Mian Vu, but had mercy and fell into a trap. The girl was in the command of the fiery dawn. The fight began and our hero, hoping to immediately hit the gang's head, began to attack her, but she easily repulsed his attack. The main character was cut with a sword this time and realized that if he didn't collapse quickly, he might die. The boy assessed his strength and decided to attack the fat young man who was the weakest of the gang. Cao Tian having entered, the two villains followed him through the entire forest right up to the very oven of the primary brushes. Our hero dares to go into the oven. Even as soon as you step on its territory, you will immediately feel it. Having driven the main character into the herd, the enemies wanted to kill him until the battle began in the arena of death. Having found himself in a strange place, the boy began to talk to his sister and realized that he had ended up in a furnace, which was not safe at all. Burning in it, the bones and ribs of a primary nation formed. Cao Tian began to flow from this place, but the hand of the skeleton from the ground pulled him under the ground and ended up in a wonderful room in the center of which was a pool with rye water. From whose pool a red hand reached out and caught our hero. At that moment a voice was heard, as if an unknown girl was telling him. Having begun to fight with the majestic monster, as he climbed out of the pool, the girl fought with him more than once. As soon as our hero wanted to help, she pulled him out and began to struggle. The monster grabbed the girl and threw her hard, hitting her so that she flew into the wall. She miraculously began to swing at the boy, but Sister Rong took the sword of the fiery phoenix and drove it into the roof. Finally, leaving this earth, the great potter transferred part of her strength to the girl. Because she, not following her own reason, began to attack Cao Tian, Xin Swan quickly realized that she had been cut off and needed to act peacefully. The girl knocked our hero down and tore into his new shirt, and began to beat with strong wind currents, through which he became unbearable. 2 years later, the girl leaned over, picked up the penny bag, took the sword and made a magical passage, took the main character in her arms and came out through the oven. Zhuan Xianbin put a strong talisman into the body of the main character, which can be destroyed in 3 blows by those who do not have kung fu in their souls. Sensing the presence of Xin Swan, the girl asked her not to tell the boy anything about what had happened to them, and at that hour the main character began to freak out, and the girl ran away. Cao Tian, having woken up and not understanding the star in the new so rich energy, the sister said that she must now move on to a new level of the earthly kingdom. Yunak plans to return back to the place and prepare to fight in the arena of death, now being on the same spiritual level with Khan's son, or even stronger. The main character, having sensed the battle with the animals, reached the sound of the wine, having treated the same group of girls and men who drove him to the stove. Having lost the remaining beast that attacked the boy. Yunak doesn't want the monster's mischief, but he will need the fruit of the fiery maupi in his teeth. If the lion was not greeted in a friendly manner, the boy killed the animal with one blow and took the fruit, and then he was marked by a company of enemies who could not understand the manner in which he lived in the oven. Having begun to talk to the gates, it became clear that Cao Tian had been at the oven for a whole day. Sin Swan realized that in the oven and on the surface there were different things, and the stench lay in different places. One of the attackers began to threaten the main character and asked him to give the fiery fruit. The enemy attacked the main character, but calmly and easily defeated his attack. The bandits were planning to attack our hero all at once, but the boy easily defeated all attacks and lost one man, whose spiritual strength increased several times for unknown reasons. Cao Tian was only able to block the attacks of the attacker, without being beaten by the enemy. Our hero wants to anger the spirit of the enemy, disdaining his combat techniques, calling them worthless. As soon as the new developments reached the ears and eyes, the boy could easily escape from the blows. The attacker's sword was so thin that it could easily be cut into pieces, and by that time it was tarnished, and the action needed to be sharp. Cao Tian has stagnated the attack of the three demons. The man did not want to give up his sword to Cao Tian, having realized that he was not his equal. But our hero was all the same at his empty ball and threatened to take revenge on the clan. The boy was confident that the fire of the elements would soon subside. It is good for the attacker not to kill, but for this he is obliged to reveal one important secret. As it turned out, the Naaman was sent for the fiery maupi fruit in order for Sin Han to raise the ranks of Kung Fu. Vin has not yet reached the point of raising his zeal, but perhaps he still needs some help. It is clear that our hero does not believe this nonsense in someone who knows the clan well. He leaves the man and goes on his way. Having wasted his knowledge, the man contacts his partner Yu Sha, who mercilessly drives his attacker into the homeland of his attacker. Our hero, having met the fox, has now risen to the level of astral kung fu. During this hour, you will find Snow having fallen asleep, faithfully burying his friend. His sister encourages him to teach his friend the scheme for controlling the technique of the sword, so that he can get out of the abyss. The move of the saw tornado was even more sharp and swift from the bottom of the front, which the young man had learned. Over the course of a decade, the boy began to master his new skill. Sin Swan learned and could not realize that it was so easy for him. As it turned out, the very next day we were going to be with Khan's son. Our hero wanted to end this once and for all. Having arrived at the great palace of Kung Fu, our hero gathered friends, who had a little image of him, through those who knew him well. The boys became aware that Khan's son had become strong, so Cao Tian believed that there was no need to change everything so that everything would be miraculous. Yunak enjoyed his new experiences in Kung Fu and the Yin-Yang stage, which he gained from training. In the arena of death, before any fight, bets were taken on the outcome of the battle. Without betting on our hero, everyone was sung in the name of Khan's son. The lad wants to convey that they will have mercy here.
If you have watched up to this point, then I am very grateful to you, because this is where the video ends. If it's not difficult for you, then like this video and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to continue this story, then write in the comments. Thank you all, I love you all.